Erev Shabbos, everybody. This week's Parsha is out of Chayei Sarah. We have the death of Sarah Imenu. Avraham recognizes that it is his responsibility to find the next matriarch of Klal Yisrael. And therefore he summons his trusted servant, head of his household, a great Torah scholar and disciple of Avraham. He calls Eliezer. And he has Eliezer take an oath that he will go to Avraham's homeland, to the family of Avraham. Avraham had an older brother, Nochar, and to take one of the descendants of Nochar to be the wife of Yitzchak, because it is from Avraham's household that the proper character traits will be found suitable for Yitzchak and to be the next matriarch of Klal Yisrael. Eliezer says, Ulai lo soiva ha'isha. What if I go to your homeland and I meet the girl, and indeed she is suitable for Yitzchak, but she doesn't want to leave? Should I take your son Yitzchak back to this land? And Abraham tells him under no circumstances is Yitzchak to leave. But Hashem, the God of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and spoke to me and promised me that to my descendants this land of Israel will be given, he will send his angel, he will guide you, he will enable you to be successful. As we know, Eliezer goes and he comes to the well and he says to Hashem, the girl to whom I request that she give me some water, and she says, here, take some water, have water, and let me get for your camels too. This is the young maiden that you have demonstrated is suitable for Yitzchak. Immediately as he finishes his request and his prayer from Hashem, Rivka comes. He asks her for water. She gives him water. She says, let me bring for all your camels. He had 10 camels. And then he asks her, who are you? What is your father's name? Where are you from? And indeed, her father is Besuel, a son of Nochar. So she is indeed from the household of Avraham. And Eliezer is overwhelmed with gratitude. And he bows and falls on his face before Hashem, expressing thanksgiving. When he meets the family of Rivka, he tells them of what transpired. And he tells them how Avraham sent him to find the wife for Yitzchak. He tells them how Avraham is a prince of God, recognized by one and all. And he says to them that Avraham made me take an oath that I would come here and I would find a girl. And I said to Avraham, Ulai lo selachi isha acharai. Perhaps the girl will not want to follow. And Avraham said to me, God will send an angel, you will be successful. And here I have been successful. I am requesting the hand of your daughter to be given in marriage for my master, for Yitzchak. Rashi notes that the Torah repeats a lot of the incident with Eliezer and Avraham, but it specifically repeats that Eliezer says to them, I said to Avraham, perhaps the girl will not want to return with me. Rashi notes that when he was speaking to Avraham, the Hebrew word is ulai. Ulai means perhaps. But here the word ulai is spelled with a vav, aleph, vav, lamed yud, ulai. When he is speaking to Rivka's father, Besuel, and her brother, Lavan, here he says, Ulai, and there is no Vav, Aleph, Lamed, Yud. Rashi tells us that the word Ulai, when there's no Vav, can also be read as Eli. Eli means unto me. What does this mean? Rashi tells us that Eliezer had a daughter. And in the depths of Eliezer's inner psyche, he was hoping that Yitzchak would take his daughter to be his wife. And therefore, when he asked the question to Avram and said, Ulai, perhaps the girl from your family's household will not return here, he was really motivated without his even recognizing this, that his innermost feeling and desire was that the girl would not come back, and that Yitzchak would not be sent there, and that Abraham would say under those circumstances, he will take your daughter. But this is not indicated until Eliezer speaks with Rivka's family. When he speaks with Rivka's family and he says, Ulai, it is spelled in such a way that it could be read Eli, as if Eliezer is saying, when I asked Abraham, perhaps she will not return with me, now I understand that the motivation for that question was because I had a daughter. Now, he didn't express this to Besuel and to Rivka's family, but this is what he recognized. Now he recognized the motivation. What is the Torah showing us here? Rav Eliyahu Dessler explains, just as a person, some people have 20/20 vision, and some people, their vision, they're farsighted, nearsighted, astigmatism, other issues. Everybody has their field of vision. There are those who can see very clearly, and those whose vision is very limited, and they might not see all the details or recognize everything that's right in front of them because their vision is impaired. He says the same thing with one's spiritual vision. People can see things and not recognize what they're looking at. Eliezer is in the presence of his master, the great, the holy, the beloved unto God, Avraham Avinu. And Avraham charges him with this remarkable task of locating the next matriarch of Klal Yisrael, she who will be the engineer to raise the generations, the tribes of Israel. Eliezer was chosen for this because he was outstanding in his awe of God and in his performance of mitzvahs and Torah study. Nevertheless, the field of his vision was somewhat impaired and limited, and he wasn't even aware of it. When he was told, go find the girl and bring her back, he thought he was asking a question because he was motivated by the interest of Yitzchak. What if the girl doesn't want to come back with me? Should I take Yitzchak there? He thought that his entire motivation was to benefit Yitzchak. But after he witnessed the divine supervision that God manipulated the events, and as soon as he finished speaking to God and say, let this girl who offers me water on my camels, let her be the one that you choose. That's exactly when Rivka comes. That's exactly what Rivka does. And Rivka is exactly the girl who is a first cousin once removed to Yitzchak from the family of Abraham. And Eliezer now, his vision expands. He's able to see details. He's able to see clearly. He's able to see the minutiae that escaped him. He sees the divine hand of God, and he sees indeed that it is the will of Hashem that this is the appropriate matriarch of Klal Yisrael. And at that moment, whatever hope that he had invested deeply within his mind and his soul, that maybe his daughter would be worthy of Yitzchak, that was now an afterthought. That no longer existed. And now, because that thought was gone, he was able to recognize that when he asked Avraham, perhaps the girl will not return, he wasn't asking because of Yitzchak. He was asking because of his own personal interest. And that's why he says ulai, where the word could be pronounced Eli. Now and only now do I have a clarity of vision in which I recognize that my question was framed and fashioned based upon my personal interest. I wasn't even aware of my personal interest. Now I see it clearly. Now that I see the hand of God, now that I see how everything has played out, now I clearly see and recognize the truth. What the Torah is showing us is that people can see the same thing. Different people can see the same thing. But what they interpret or what they assume they are seeing can be diametrically opposed from one end of the spectrum to the other. Anyone with a clarity of vision would recognize that the atrocity from October 7th is one of the worst events in human history, a barbarism that has not been known for centuries, a barbarism, a catastrophe, a bestiality which rivals that of the Holocaust, and that Israel is justified in any and every means of rescuing their own people, rather than hear from the world, the United Nations and leaders and religious leaders about return the hostages, we might hear a sentence or two, but it always seems to be followed by, well, that doesn't justify the response from Israel. It's unbelievable how they could see something and yet all they see, well, this might be genocide. This might look like something. We need to look into this. We need to look into that. Why are there so many? We need to curb Israel. We need to discuss this. We need to examine this. We need to perhaps divest from Israel because of their response. It's not an appropriate response. It's not proportioned properly. That's what they see. How could they be so blind? How is it possible that they cannot see what's up? Why don't they say, where are the hostages? Bring them home, and mean it and say it day in and day out. And this is what we hear from leaders in Europe, leaders of the United Nations, and now religious leaders are also saying, we've heard from experts that perhaps this appears to be somewhat genocidal. Really, I wonder who those experts are. And this appears to be genocidal. They have no concept what genocide is. Genocide is a planned approach to destroy an entire people. What Israel is engaged in is a planned approach to bring home hostages and rescue innocent individuals and spare the lives of every innocent Palestinian, whoever is there. And all the innocent people who might be killed, it is the blood that's on the hands of Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah, who use them as shields and exploit them. It's astounding how people with degrees and intelligence and educators in universities and the Ivy League, they see something, their vision is limited by the anti-Semitism that exists within their hearts. That's their field of vision. But those who have a clarity of vision, they see very clearly what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a struggle of good and evil. And just as Avraham told Eliezer, despite your limited field of vision, Hashem will send an angel and will bring his will to fruition. So may we be worthy of seeing Hashem bring his will to fruition, that we see peace, safety, rescue of our hostages, that we see an end to our enemies, and a revelation of Mashiach within our lifetime. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay Jewish. Have a wonderful Shabbat.